Message from Starfleet Command, top priority.
You are listening to the TrekRanks podcast, a member of the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. This is episode 116, featuring Trek Minutiae. Welcome, Star Trek fans. I'm Jim Moorhouse, and I'm the host of the TrekRanks podcast. And tonight, we have got a fun one for you. It's Trek Minutiae. It's just going to be all about these little, small, precise, or trivial details of something, aka Trek. That is the definition of minutia. So we're just going to pick 5 incredibly crazy minutia, just detail-oriented things, and talk about those. I don't even know what we're doing. We've got Adam Drosin, 7-time TrekRanks veteran, who's been here for some of our craziest shows, Food Moments, Divas, lots of others, just the two of us. We are in person. We're in the same quadrant, and we're going to talk minutia. Drosin, welcome back.
Hey, hi, hello. Glad to be back for lucky number 7.
Good to have you here. Let's get into this with our TrekRanks recalibration.
Let's start with something small, like a recalibration of the EPS manifolds.
As regular listeners will know by now, general order number 1 of the TrekRanks charter is that we love Trek. We love to rank Trek via some deep dive topics just to get the conversation started. And remember, it's not about the ranks. We're not even going to rank tonight. We're just going to list 5 things we want to talk about.
But what is that Vulcan motto? Infinite diversity.
In infinite combinations.
And what is diversity? But a celebration of differences.
And as T'Pol and Dr. Phlox just said, TrekRanks is basically just a big old celebration of differences. There are no wrong answers at TrekRanks. It's not about being right or definitive in any way. It's just about sharing the things we love about Trek, and we love it all, from TOS to TNG, straight through to Enterprise and the Kelvin timeline, and now Discovery, Short Trek, Star Trek Picard, Lower Decks, and soon we'll have Star Trek Prodigy to talk about as well. It's all fair game here on the TrekRanks podcast.
Black alert. Black alert.
And one final reminder that we use episodes as a shorthand term, but the 13 films are always in play as well.
I've boosted power to the communications bandwidth.
We appreciate that, Mr. Kim, and you can find TrekRanks on Subspace at TrekRanks.com. You can contact me directly on Twitter at TrekRanks or at Enterprise Extra. You can also call and leave us a message with your own picks at 609-512-LLAP. At 609-512-5527. Okay, Adam, how can people get a hold of you on Subspace?
Hit me up on Twitter, Adam Drosin, at Adam Drosin. ADAMDROSIN. Something about sin and Drosin. You can't spell Drosin without sin.
That's right. All right, we're going to go straight into our Prime Directives and get into some minutia.
But what you're proposing is exactly the kind of tampering the Prime Directive prohibits.
Okay, Adam, as I said before, minutia is defined as small, precise, or trivial details about something. So, how did you approach this topic, which you suggested, by the way, and how did you narrow down your list?
Well, my primary directive, as always, on TrekRanks is to get a big reaction out of you. So that's my first and foremost goal with putting together this and any list on TrekRanks. But specific to this episode, the idea I was sort of putting around with minutia was that if it was something I could explain to somebody who doesn't know Star Trek or even has a passing familiarity with Star Trek in under a minute, and they'd be okay, that's not minute enough. If it's something I could explain to someone who likes Star Trek, and they're like, wait, what? Even after a full minute? I'm like, now we're getting somewhere. More specifically, I know firsthand, and I mean this in the best way, you've got some real freaks for listeners. And I mean this freaks in the highest regard.
Freaks fight back! Freaks fight back!
Brother, freaks united or freaks no more! Say it with me! Freaks fight back!
Yeah! Freaks fight back! Freaks fight back! Freaks fight back! Freaks fight back is what they were all chanting. We were all doing it in unison.
People who we know Star Trek to a granular level, as it were. I'm trying to impress the TrekRanks listeners. I'm trying to impress our buddies in the Snark Pit. Shout out to the Snark Pit. So I think as we progress through this list, you'll start to see how deep I'm trying to go in that regard, and specific to my interests as they intersect with Trek at large.
Granular. I like that. And your interests, like in terms of your film background?
We'll see.
Okay, all right. We're going to find out. So for me, I cover a little bit of everything on my list. I have some that are in universe, some that are like it's something that's happening in an episode that's minutia related. I have some that are just production related. I have some that are a little bit in between. I have some where I'm just diving into some stats because I love stats. So I thought this is a good chance to break down some numbers. So I've got a little bit of everything, and I'm excited about my list. Okay, let's do it first. Cadet Catan, introduce us to the minutia of things.
It'll be alphas like us that determine the future of this quadrant. That will be the new order of things.
Thank you, First Cadet Catan. As always, a quick reminder how we're going to go through the order of things. First, everyone will reveal their 5-word summary and a hashtag to tease their pick. Then we'll each reveal our Trek minutia and the specific reasons for highlighting it in the episode in which it appeared. I didn't tell you that. Hopefully you have an episode. And then because I like my stats, and at the end, we'll ask everyone for everyone. It's just me and Droz in the same room at a desk. We'll ask both of us we'll both list some secondary system selections for the picks that just missed our list. And if there's any duplicates, there's not going to be. Listen for the Defiant Torpedoes. Okay, Adam, let's do it. Trek minutia, down and dirty. What do you got?
Let's get into it. 5 words and a hashtag. Toot toot, aw, beep beep. Hashtag, how is this real? What else could it be other than the horns and fanfare that accompanied the Amazon Prime version of the episode Alliances from Star Trek Voyager?
Okay, I cannot believe you're picking this. And so I'm going to give the background here. So if people don't know this, I mean, it was like 10 years that if you watch the episode Alliances, for some reason, some programmer loaded in a version that when they're introducing the Kazon at the finale, the final scene where all the Kazon, everyone's coming to this table at the conclusion, instead of like they're announcing their names and they're walking down the stairs, and somebody has layered in like cheering and like a trumpet horn sound from like Robin Hood,
medieval times,
some kind of medieval times. It is so funny. They finally corrected it, though, right? It's not there anymore.
We'll have to check.
I don't think it's there anymore. I was just talking to somebody the other day about this. I love that this is granular. I am wondering how many people actually know about this. I'm well aware of it. I've laughed about it quite often. But deeper, I want to know who did it.
Yeah.
It was a conscious decision. Somebody made a conscious decision to have that live on Netflix for like 10 years.
My headcanon is that it's an incursion from an alternate timeline where that's just the canon version of the scene. That's how it broadcasted in that.
Can I please hear your 5 words again?
5 words and a hashtag. Toot toot, aw, beep beep. Hashtag, how is this real?
Oh my God. I can't even believe that.
The first marches of the Kazon Order. Of the prologue. Sarat of the Mistral. Loran of the Hopai.
Okay, let's go to my number 5. That's fantastic. My 5 words in a hashtag. Deltas as a design aesthetic, hashtag from 1966 to 2021. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that people know this, especially in recent Trek. There's a lot of, one of my favorite things is how much the Delta insignia has been used as a design element really a lot in the last few years. So it started with 2009 with the uniforms. They have the fabric of the Kelvin timelines, like the texture. They have the little deltas.
Cool.
And that was really cool. And then Discovery's used it a ton. So they have the same kind of uniform embossment. They have buckles on the shoes. They have deltas everywhere on Discovery. And Lower Decks, super cool. They have them on the soles of the shoes, and I love that. Whenever they flash the soles of the shoes, and I started thinking about how cool that is, and then I realized this. And so the episode I'm picking is going way back to TOS and the Enemy Within to show just how long they've been doing this. It's the fourth episode of Trek, and it's the first episode with Kirk's green wraparound uniform, which uses a delta as like the belt. It's like a Velcro buckle. Yeah, that straps over and locks. And I love that delta. I love seeing the delta everywhere. So I've got the delta as a design aesthetic. Drosin, what do you think?
It's great. It's like the original Nike swoosh, right?
Actually, that's pretty good.
It's a great piece of branding. It's like immediately that's Star Trek. That's what that is.
Love the delta. Love it everywhere. Okay, let's go to round 4. What's your number 4 pick?
Man, this one's really good. This is the first one that I sort of thought of in terms of minutia. 5 words and a hashtag. More futuristic than the future. Hashtag Space Hilton redefined. Number 4 choice is the interior design on the USS Dauntless Registry NX-01A, also known as Ray Wise, a.k.a. Arturus's fake ship from the season 4 finale of Star Trek Voyager, Hope and Fear.
But wait, now what's the minutia here?
Just how cool that ship looks, man.
I love it.
It's like ASMR. It's so satisfying. And it's so clever in the way that he's designed this ship to be attractive to them. It's like, oh, this has to be what, the future or the next evolution of our ship would be. And, it's just very satisfying, this sort of light panel design. It's very soft lighting. It's beautiful. The curvature of the warp core is one of those Spencer Gifts plasma orbs, which is really funny. And I don't know, it's just sort of very satisfying to me and very specific. And it makes me think of something that Brandon Braga talked about a lot when they were promoting Enterprise. It's like, we wanted to make it a prequel because what would more futuristic than the future look like? And I'm like, well, first of all, you've been designing it on a weekly basis for your entire career, so that's a moot point. But here's what it would look like. It looks cool as hell is the answer. It looks like Arturus's fake ship, the Dauntless.
That ship is so sleek. I love the exterior design of it. It's really, really, it just looks fast.
Looks cool.
Which is kind of the whole point. Yeah. It's fit to entice them. And listen, anytime Ray Wise gets a shout out on TrekRanks, I am happy. All-time great actor who's been in a couple episodes, including Who Watches the Watchers. Lico, we love him. All right, that's an awesome design. I mean, awesome pick. I can't believe you went with design aesthetic as well. Fantastic. All right.
Get in a little Voyager pocket here.
That's right.
If you leave the pocket, keep listening. Listeners, we'll find out.
All right, let's go to my number 4. This is this is kind of a production / in-universe one. So 5 words and a hashtag. NX-01 computer interface a la Okuda, hashtag building to Enterprise. And this is the Enterprise NX-01 computer interface design. And the minutia element is the fact that Mike Okuda, and I remember when I first read this or heard about it, and I don't remember where it was. I tried to research it for this. I actually couldn't find it anywhere. So hopefully it's not apocryphal. I'm just making this up. But I know it's true because I've seen it. In the design, you have the columns of like rectangular, colorful rectangles. And in the first season, they kind of had one along the side. And then in the second season, they had 2 columns. And they built all the way to like 4 columns in those little screens that you see everywhere on the NX-01. And the idea was that the ship's becoming more automated, manual, and similar to the Enterprise, the original Matt Jeffries Enterprise, which has all those jelly beans and buttons and knobs that are just colorful and all over the place, and you have no idea what they are. And I've always said this, that's way more futuristic than what the NX-01 looks like. Look at the Enterprise, Matt Jeffries design, what they did here. I've never understood people who said they thought the NX-01 looked more futuristic than the Enterprise from TOS, because it didn't.
It looks more modern in a production sense. It looks more current.
But if you're on the Enterprise, the original Kirk Enterprise bridge, you have no idea what is going on. It's just buttons and stuff. You don't have no. It's so minimal. You have no idea what they do because it's so futuristic.
Great.
And then the NX-01, they were slowly kind of building toward that aesthetic in a real subtle background way, and I love Mike Okuda for that. It's super cool. And the episode I picked, because there's a bunch of shots of it, and this episode's going to come up later in one of my picks because I found something out about it in some minutia research. The episode is Kirshara. There's a bunch of cool shots where you can see the 4 columns of rectangles in that episode. Mr. Drosin, what do you think of that Mike Okuda design?
It's a great one. The Okudagrams are just like... Yeah, any episode, you're just like, what is that? What am I looking at? It's always like, I want to look a little bit closer, It's a great minutiae pick. I didn't know that about the 4 columns. That's real interesting.
Yeah, and the truth is, Okudagrams could just be, we could just
do a whole app on it.
We are going to do a whole app on the Okudagrams at some point now. That's fantastic. I can't believe that's not on my long list. It is now. Okay.
Also, one of my secondary systems, the jelly bean buttons.
Okay, so I love that.
Early secondary hit you out there.
Okay, so we are going to the soup round with the originator of the soup round, Mr. Adam Drosin.
It's so funny. I didn't think of this when I was putting together this, but this is the perfect soup round choice.
Okay.
And you're going to get one in just a second. 5 words and a hashtag. Intergalactic man of culinary mystery. Hashtag cosplay goals. What else could it be other than the fact that we never see Chef's face in Star Trek?
That is some minutiae.
It just brings me such joy. It's just such a funny little ongoing gag. And, my finest cosplay hour was being chef, full chef outfit STLB with a black spandex mask.
And a catfish.
And a plush catfish.
Oh my God. It's one of the best costumes ever. It was like this black.
It's like a black spandex mask. So it was just like a void where my face was.
We might have to put that in our album art. Just, were you in the Discovery chair?
Exactly. Yeah.
This is the best picture. I love Chef not being ever identified or seen. I actually love the way they used it in the final with Riker, and these are the boys.
It's just fun. It's just a fun little ongoing thing. It doesn't have to mean anything.
All right, did you pick an episode?
I picked the catwalk. Because that's where you see full body shot of Chef. He leans down and they're like, "Thanks, Chef," and he just walks away.
So good.
Thanks, Chef.
Thanks, Chef.
Pot roast. Oh, God. That's the 3rd time in 3 days.
So good. And perfect for the soup brand.
I didn't even realize it until you said it's the soup brand. Oh my God, it's meant to be. Truly meant to be.
I love it. All right, so my number 3 pick is... This one is about characters being focused on minutia, and I love this episode, and it's perfect for minutia. 5 words and a hashtag. An episode filled with minutia, hashtag power conversion levels at 97.2%. It is Force of Nature from TNG Season 7, an episode that I love that everybody else hates.
That's where he kills himself in the thing, right?
No, that is the one where they outlaw Warp 5.
Oh, yeah, that's
travel over Warp 5. So this episode is just filled with minutia. The first 20 minutes is basically just Data and Geordi walking around talking about training his cat, training Spot. Geordi talking about getting a cat, his sister's cat, phase alignments, power conversion. They don't even get to the plot for 20 minutes. There's this little bit of mystery in the background of this weird space. But the main catalyst of the plot doesn't show up for 20 minutes. It's just these two. And my favorite part is LaForge's trying to stabilize routing EPS conduits into the stabilizing matrix of the warp core to try and get the higher power conversion levels just so he can have a better number that means nothing versus his guy from, what's his name, Donald Kaplan, chief engineer of the Intrepid. They went to the academy together. His power conversion levels were 97.1, and Geordi was trying to do all this crap just to get it to 97.2. And I love when Data's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, I just want to get it higher.
Geordi, there has been a slight drop in sensor efficiency. Perhaps we should examine the phase buffers.
No problem, Data. I'll be right with you. Okay, Hansen, transfer the EPS conduit 13 to the stabilizer matrix.
Aye, sir. Is there a problem with the engines?
No.
Then why are you stabilizing the EPS conduit?
Just trying to get a slightly higher power conversion level.
But that would not affect the engines in any way.
I know that, Data. It's not the point.
What is the point?
I'm just trying to get a higher conversion level, that's all.
Why?
Why? Fantastic. I love it. They spend like 2 scenes on this. Like the first time he doesn't get anywhere. The second time he gets it. He's got this happy little joy of the minutia of getting his power conversion levels higher than his buddy. I love it. What do you think? Force of Nature.
Dude, what a pull. Real starchy ep, which I kind of like, like just a real, we're just here to I think the bulk of the episode just like takes place in the conference room.
There is nothing happening.
There's nothing going on. They're out of money. They're like, when the show is ending, we're putting all this money into the movie and the finale and just talk for an hour. I think it's great.
It is a very, very talky episode. Okay, let's go to round 2. I can't wait to talk about my top 2 picks. Adam, what's your number 2 pick?
Artifacts of a bygone era. # whole grain goodness. What else could it be other than the optical grain over the TOS credits?
Oh, and now of course you're picking. Of course you're picking.
Now, if you don't know what optical grain is, you know what it looks like. Because if you've seen the TOS credits, you know they're like, it looks a little weirder. It doesn't look like as high quality as the rest of the footage that it was taken from. And that's because when that show was made in the 1960s, in order to get a freeze frame type image, you had to do something called an optical printing. So essentially you're running that same frame of film through the camera, that's the thing, and then print it out onto film multiple times over. So it becomes grainier, it looks a little messed up, and I don't know, I find it very relaxing and satisfying to look at.
You love the optical grain. I love this. This is the perfect Drosin pick. He was a film nerd, to say the least. My favorite thing about TOS credits has always been, since I was a little kid, my brothers and I would sit there for the credits and we would scream episode title, try to be the first one to yell, Menagerie, The Cage, Arena. Anytime the credits popped up, we saw
so fun.
We saw the episode titles. So I've always wondered why they didn't upgrade those.
I really want them to.
I know.
I feel like it's such a,
because even in the Blu-ray, you're still
grainy.
Yeah, it's like they took what it was and made it high def, but it's still grainy.
There's a character to it. It's like that's what the closing credits of TOS look like.
So what episode did you pick?
What else could it be other than the core micro? Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
The face, the Baylock's face.
Yeah,
it's like that's the classic. They spoof it in Futurama. It's like,
well, you could have picked VNet.
Oh, that's great. That's great too. But no, it's got to be Baylock. It's so iconic.
I love it. Okay. Let's go to my round 2 pick. My top 2 picks are just super, super nerd. Star Trek, Moorhouse, Minutia. 5 words and a hashtag on number 2. Stats and numbers across 801 hashtag by any other name. Get ready. My episode is Statistical Probabilities from Deep Space Nine, only because that's the perfect title for what I'm about to relay. I am just going to relay a bunch of cool, interesting numbers about Star Trek titles and statistics. So here we go. I'm just going to rattle off a whole bunch. there are 167 episodes of Star Trek that begin with the word "the," which I thought was a pretty cool. I always wanted to know that, and so I looked it up and figured it out. 167. There's 11 that start with the word "a," 8 start with the word "in," 4 actually. There's a few here, random ones. 4 that actually start with the word "terra," which I thought was cool, and 5 that start with "home," kind of similar, and 4 that start with the word "future." There's also 3 each of "who," "what," "where." 3 episodes that start with "who," "what," or "where," and 2 that start with "when," so "who," "what," "where," "when." There are, in terms of letters, 215 episodes out of 801 start with the letter T. Who knew that? I know it now, and so do you. I love stats. There are only 2 episodes that are just numbers, 1159 and 11001001. Every single letter of the alphabet except one has a title that starts with that letter, and the letter, of course, is X. So we need to get X some love. But here's the thing, I mentioned this before. There's only one letter that starts a title with this letter, and that is K. Kirshara is the only episode that starts with Kirshara. Every other letter has multiple episode titles that start with those. So I just really bored you for like 4 minutes talking about statistical numbers related to episode titles, statistical probabilities. I should have said, Drosin, what do you think? What's your takeaway on those ridiculous numbers that mean nothing?
That was a masterpiece. That was like a master class in Trek Minutiae.
What was your favorite one?
Probably K. Kirshara. That was kind of a cool one to end on. And I can't even imagine what you have saved for number 1.
Number 1 is really cool. Okay, here we go. Our number 1 picks. What do you got?
Guys, this is something I've been screaming about for a long time. You maybe have been lucky to hear about it in person at SDLB or caught a little bit on Twitter, but for those uninitiated, you're about to get a full adult dose. 5 words in a hashtag. All hail Matt Leonetti, ASC. Hashtag cinematic style for the tube. This is specifically the shift in lighting and camera work that occurs in Deep Space Nine and Voyager after the release of the film Star Trek First Contact.
Okay, tell us more. Wait, isn't this Marvin Rush? Isn't he like the guy who did it all?
Marvin Rush did, in fact, shoot both of these shows. But what I'm talking about specifically is how different these shows look after the release of the film First Contact. Before that movie, I think you can look at both Voyager and Deep Space Nine and see sort of a gauziness, a softness that is inherent not just to those shows, but early 90s cinematography at large. Mm-hmm. After First Contact, you can see the light gets a little bit harder. It's not as diffuse. The colors are a little bit colder. Everything looks a little bit sharper. And I think you can also see that in Fight Club, Surge Soda. Commercials look like Surge Soda now instead of cotton, the fabric of our lives. So I think it's fascinating to sort of see what they took from their biggest big screen success in terms of, this is how we can have our TV shows look a little bit more of the times, a little bit more cinematic without, redefining the wheel. They don't look drastically different. They just look a little sharper, a little edgier, a little bit more elevated, if you will. And I think that's the kind of minutia that I can scream about for an hour, but I'll leave it at that.
Oh my God! So, okay, I love this pick. Was that a general style that happened around that time too?
I think so. I think film stock started to get really fast, and you could shoot in darker, lower lights, sharper image. Yeah.
So I'm wondering which. So that would have been right near the end of Deep Space Nine. So
96.
96. I was thinking 98. So still 2 or 3 more seasons of Deep Space Nine and about 5 of Voyager.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so a little sharper, a little darker. I need to start looking for that now. I don't know there's stuff like that.
Think about something like Well, an episode.
Actually, Hope and Fear is probably a good example.
Hope and Fear is a great example. It's really sharp.
And it's dark, and it's hard.
Moody. Yeah. And I think of we've talked many a time about the double in Deep Space Nine, Inferno, and Purgatory's Light. Those are very sort of moodily lit on the Dominion prison camp. So that comes to mind. And some of the earlier stuff, especially like I think of in the pilot episode, the flashbacks to Dax, going from Curzon to Jadzia, and it's so soft and gauzy, and it's a flashback, it's a choice they're making, but that's something that you really don't even start to see as the seasons progress. I think it's and you can really see that shift after First Contact.
Yeah. Okay. And so, are you taking First Contact?
First Contact will be the pivot point.
It's the pivot point. I love this. So we are about to also talk about some pivot points. Number one pick. Okay, my number one pick. 5 words and a hashtag, and this one is just to talk about the sheer respect for the people who make Star Trek. It's unbelievable, and we're going to put it in a little context right now with some Trek minutia. 5 words and a hashtag every week. For 6 years. Hashtag Trek production heyday. So I'll name the episode in a second. For 6 calendar years, from January 1st, 1993 to December 31st, 1998, there were 304 episodes of Star Trek that were made across 312 weeks of the calendar. So basically, these people are making 1 episode of Star Trek every week, and we know the quality of those 304 episodes and what they were putting out, with Rick Berman overseeing it, with the showrunners, with the directors that were rotating in the writers' rooms, these actors. 304 episodes of Star Trek across 312 weeks. 1 episode a week? That's crazy to think about how much work and dedication that takes. So we can also break it down a little bit more. If you include 2-hour movies or 2-hour episodes like the 3 TNG movies, Emissary, and Caretaker, and a few others, there were actually 309 hours of Trek across 312 weeks. So literally 1 hour a week for 6 years. I find that amazing. Of course, we're going to break it down by stats now. TNG had 40 of those episodes plus 3 films. Deep Space Nine, 158, so almost their entire run. And Voyager, 103. And each year averaged a little over 50. So it was 1993 was 55. 94 was only 41. And then 52, 53, 52, and 51 episodes in 1998. I love these stats. We're breaking it down. Just know that for 6 years, these wizards produced 1 episode of Star Trek a week. That's just incredible. And we're almost going to get back to that point, maybe, when we're getting 1 episode a week. But, Drosin, what do you think?
Man, that's good stuff. That's the sweet spot. That's my favorite spot in Trek. That's where all the good stuff is, in my opinion. I mean, it's all good stuff, but that's really the sweetest of the sweet spots as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, that is the truth. If you were looking at it, I think most would agree that 6-year window from
just any of those episodes in that window, just throw it on, zone out, watch it intently, zone out on it, whatever. It's good stuff. It's all. Even the bad stuff is pretty good.
It's all good. Okay, and the episode, I forgot. So the first episode of that run was Emissary, Deep Space Nine, which premiered January of 93. And the last episode was It's Only a Paper Moon, which aired at the very end of December in 1998. So that was my choice.
Let's see what you can do with the secondary systems.
Okay, any secondary systems picks, Mr. Drosin?
I mentioned the jelly bean buttons before. I just feel like that's such another low-key iconic thing that's very specific, very minutia, very Star Trek. And to that degree, I also have to give a shout out, a little bit too broad for my specific thing, but engine noise,
Oh, God, the hum, yeah.
And I think how perfectly they did that in Lower Decks says everything that I could say about why engine noise is great. you know?
Yeah, that scene is fantastic. I had ranks and pips. I could have gone deep on that.
Yeah.
Ship classifications as well. I love the minutia there. Star dates was something I thought about. And the one I came closest to picking was my toughest cut. I really wanted to talk about reusing stuff. So like kit bash models where it's like the same model and they like turn it upside down or they add a little they cut off the nose.
The glowing tube prop
models that are reused, like the double glowing tube.
The exploding Klingon.
Or even like matte paintings. So it's like, so when I think about this, and I'm gonna do some soapbox for a second, when people bitch about, at the end of Picard, it was all the same ship, yada yada. Yeah, okay, well, First Contact, one of the best episodes of TNG, used the matte painting from Angel One. So get over it, okay? That's kind of what happens sometimes in the world of TV production when you're on these crazy deadlines and making one episode of Star Trek a week for 6 straight years in the 90s. Love it. Okay. Awesome. Quick Trek ranks breakdown of Trek minutia. I love it. Let's get into our regeneration cycle and recap our picks.
Computer, activate regeneration cycle. Alcoves beta and gamma.
Adam, recap your 5 picks.
Number 5, the horns and fanfare that accompanied a version of the episode Alliances in Star Trek Voyager.
Wait, did you say it was on Amazon Prime, not Netflix? Maybe it was.
I think it might have been the Prime version somewhere.
I think it was on, I don't know, whatever. It was very, very visible.
Yeah, iconic, weird piece of minutia.
Yeah, but it might have been Amazon Prime. I don't know.
Number 4, the interior design and exterior design, as discussed, of the USS Dauntless from the episode Hope and Fear from Voyager as well. Number 3, the fact that you never see Chef's face in Star Trek Enterprise. Number 2, the optical grain over the end credits of Star Trek, the original series.
Love it. That's classic Drosin minutia.
And number 1 is the shift in lighting and camera style following Star Trek First Contact in both the look of Deep Space Nine and Voyager.
And give a shout out to the guy, Matt Leonetti.
Matt Leonetti was the DP of both First Contact and Insurrection. And give a shout out to Marvin Rush, too, with friggin' legend.
Love it. Okay, my 5 picks were from TOS, the Delta insignias being a design aesthetic. I used the Enemy Within as my pick. Round 4, I had the NX-01 computer interface design by Mike Akuda that was building toward Enterprise. Kirshara was my episode. TNG, I had the minutia of the episode Force of Nature with Data and Geordi talking about cats and power level conversions for 20 minutes before the plot starts. Number 2 was DS9, statistical probabilities, just for the name, because I just went deep on a bunch of stats about titles in Star Trek. And my number 1, also from Deep Space Nine, it's only a paper moon, the last episode in a run of 304 episodes made across 312 weeks in a 6-year span. And I love that amazing deep cut, random Trek minutia picks. But as we do every week, we've been hit by a temporal distortion. So before we get apart, it's time to hear from you.
The temporal distortions are fracturing space-time throughout the ship. Cause?
Unknown.
Oh, we know the cause, Mr. Tuvok. It's all the amazing feedback that we continue to receive from our listeners here at TrekRanks. And this week's temporal distortion has sent us back to episode 112 and our top 5 one-off Klingons, which was a super popular topic. I love that one. We got a great voicemail from our friend Melanie at Shuttlepod 2 and the host now of First Flight here on the network. And she had a great list, so I'm going to play that for you now.
Hi, Jim. This is Melanie here from the First Flight podcast with my picks for top 5 one-off Klingons. This was a great TrekRanks episode, and I loved everyone's picks. Number 5, Kolos, Archer's advocate from Judgment, Enterprise. I really wish he had left Rora Penthe at the end with Archer. He still could have accomplished a lot, and that always bums me out. Number 4, Captain Kolar from Voyager, Prophecy. At the end, when B'Elanna says Kapla to him in the transporter room, I always tear up every time. Number 3, General Chang from the Undiscovered Country. Mesmerizing performance, steals every scene he's in. Number 2, General Corinne from Lower Decks. His scenes with Mariner and Boimler are absolutely hysterical, and Envoys remains my favorite episode of Season 1. Number 1, Kahlest from The Next Generation, Sins of the Father. In her purple fuzzy cloak, with her awesome knife-wielding skills, saving Picard, Kahlest is badass. I have 3 secondary systems. Ch'Pok, the prosecutor from Deep Space Nine, Rules of Engagement. I chose him because I adore this episode and he brings the drama. Care to step onto my battlefield? Dr. Antak from Affliction, Enterprise. I love when he asks about the House of Phlox. And finally, Gorkon from the Undiscovered Country. What a great and wonderful character. That's my list. Thank you, and live long and prosper.
I really love her top 2 one-off Klingons. Corin from Lower Decks episode Envoys. It's just fantastic Klingon. And Kahlest, the old eyewitness woman from Sins of the Father. Two great picks. Awesome list from Melanie. So once again, those picks more than enough to clear ourselves from this week's Temporal Distortion. So as always, I want to thank everyone again for all your great responses to the TrekRanks podcast. Keep your list coming to us at TrekRanks on Twitter so we can retweet them. But we also want to hear from you. So put together your own list of Trek Minutiae or a list from any of our past shows and give us a call at the Tricorder Transmissions at 609-512-5527. That's 609-512-LLAP. So hopefully we'll hear from you so you can be featured on the next episode of TrekRanks. And on the next episode of TrekRanks, we are previewing the new season of Lower Decks. It's going to be season 2 of Lower Decks. And as our topic, we're tying this one in because it kind of fits. So we're going to find out what happens with the Boimler, who's left the Cerritos and is on the Titan. We are doing our top 5 epic comebacks. Because we know Boimler is going to come back to the Cerritos at some point. Not sure how it's going to happen. But that's going to be our topic. Top 5 epic comebacks. So Adam, this is the big one. If you had to choose one epic comeback off the top of your head, what would it be?
Dark Frontier, Borg Queen comeback.
Oh.
Come on, baby.
That's fantastic.
That's epic.
That is good. I have to even think about that for a second. That was her first appearance after the movies. That's her comeback. Different actress, Susanna Thompson, but we love her just as much.
We love ST. We love it.
Love her. We love Alice Krieger. That's a fantastic pick. I love it. Epic comeback. That's going to be a fun one. All right, to wrap it up, a huge thanks to Adam Drosin in the room tonight. Great to have you on the show.
I was wondering if you could show me how to access these subspace communications logs.
And we're going to do that right now, Neelix. Any Trek subspace communications you want to relay before we depart, Adam?
Thanks for having me back 7 times. What a pleasure. Pleasure's always an honor and a privilege.
And that includes a couple of STLV roundtables.
Those are the best ones.
Those are the worst ones. Those are the worst ones. Okay, we love those shows. Okay. Thanks again, everyone, for engaging with us here on episode 116 of the TrekRanks podcast. As always, I want to close by saying I'm looking forward to standing with you again here in this place where I belong.
Hey, to keep the EPS constant, will you, while I remodulate the power taps?
This procedure will only increase the conversion level by 0.8%.
I know, but it could be just enough.
Enough?
I just received this from Commander Kaplan, subspace.
LaForge, I got the Intrepid's power conversion levels up to 97.1%. Maybe you should try cleaning your plasma grid once in a while.
You believe the nerve of that guy?
We perform maintenance on the plasma grid at regular intervals.
I know. He's just trying to get me angry. There. That should do it. Computer, what are the current power conversion levels?
Power conversion levels are at 97.2%.
Too bad, Mr. Kaplan.
Just want to remind everyone again that the entire TrekRanks catalog is available for you to download and listen to at TrekRanks.com and on your podcast player of choice. Our episodes never get carbon dated, so check out the topics you've missed and maybe just want to listen to again over at TrekRanks.com. And a reminder to check out our friends 5-Year Mission at 5yearmission.net. They're writing a song for every episode of Star Trek, and you won't believe how great their music is. They also have a podcast at the Trek Geeks Network, so seek them out. You won't regret it.
What are you doing?
Sometimes I hum warp engine sounds just to, soothe myself.
Well, that is not what the engine sounds like.
That was Enterprise D at warp 4. This is Cerritos.
Oh, yeah, I get it. It's like...
Fletcher, no. The Cerritos has inverted plasma distributors, so it's a little bit higher pitch, like...
Wrong. The shh doesn't come from the distributors. It's the vibrations in the dilithium disbursement manifold. It's like this.
No, guys, it's like this.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's...
And Voyager was all...
Are we doing the engine sounds?